Hey, everybody. This is the Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is the founder of the Mentor Project and a Applied Developmental Psychologist. Her name is Deborah Heiser. She's right there. I'm excited to talk to her about adults. She works specifically with midlifers and older, helping them navigate through those opportunities. And if you would like more information and more support in navigating adulthood and rediscovering the power of play, go to playfulhumans.com. That's where you will find more information about playful people and ways to get out and enjoy your life, especially outdoors. Playfulhumans.com. Here we go. One more woohoo. All right, Deborah, welcome to the podcast. We like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by Kleptomania. You should really take something for that. Kleptomania. All right. I thought you might like that one as a psychologist. But here's the actual joke of the week. Where do you learn to make the best banana splits?
Ooh, where?
Sunday school.
Good
All
one.
right, that'll get us started. Deborah, welcome. You can find her at deborahheiser.com or thementorproject.org. Really excited to talk to you today. So why don't you just start and tell us a little bit about what you have going on?
Sure. And it's such a pleasure to be on your show. I love it. I think play is so important at any age. And so I was so excited to get to share my ideas on play because I think it should never end. I'm an aging specialist. I'm an applied developmental psychologist, but I look at midlife and beyond, and that's where my focus is. And that's the time of life when most people think play isn't involved, and in fact, they are wrong. So
yeah, I mean, I think that is kind of our jumping off point and a great place to start, because I kind of feel like, whatever you call it, I think midlife crisis is the term everybody is aware of, but it can be a midlife renaissance or anything else too for you as well. But there comes a point where you followed all of life's check boxes and you've, finished college, you got a good job, you got married, you had kids, and then you're like, oh, there's nothing else to check off this list for like another 25 years or so until I retire. What now? And I think that's when people realize for the first time, it's like, oh, we were doing this, for a reason, or maybe I wasn't doing this for a reason. And now I need to readjust my priorities and stuff and figure out a way to enjoy the next 25 years, not just check stuff off of a to-do list. But how do you think about midlife and how do you define that or that sort of problem people run into?
it is a problem for a lot of people. I get asked a lot of questions about aging, and they're all about how we are expecting a lot of decline in our lives. And so most people, and myself back before I became an aging specialist included, look at life as an upward trajectory of, walking, talking, moving, all of these things very quickly physically, and then a steady decline. Right. And so if you look at it that way, that's frightening. When you turn 50, what do you have to look forward to? And people will say, oh, a walker. Oh, to things that are physically causing us to have frailty or move us backwards. So what I look at, though, is what we do have to look forward to. And that is our emotional development. And that is, we start at zero, right? And we never decline. It's always going up. And so that is something that if we're able to focus on that, we see that indeed play is involved, all of these things. I don't care. I'm in my mid 50s. I don't care if I can't run as fast as I could when I was 17. I really don't care. So the way I feel physically is fine. So when most people are in their 50s, though, and older, they don't know what they have to look forward to. And what they do have to look forward to is happiness. People who are 50 and older are happier than when they're 20. Most people don't realize that, but there's research that proves that. Um, and we also have the ability to feel more purpose driven, fulfilled, content, and to have value. And part of that is that we're experts in the things we've checked those boxes in all of our lives. So once you've checked those boxes, it isn't, well, now what? It's, wow, how can I maximize that and do what I love with all that expertise? And that's what
Yeah.
I turned into the mentor project, was taking people's expertise and having some fun with that.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely an interesting part of it. I've seen a lot of things that talk about what you did, that a lot of people wait for retirement, saying like, oh, well, then I'll have fun. But then by the time they get retired, they don't have any better ideas than they did when they're 40. And they run out of things to do. They need a purpose. They need work. And sometimes even physically, you need to be able to get out and do things. And I'm wondering how you think about that idea of retirement too, because I think that's the second phase where you hit your life and you go, oh, well, I'm done working. I don't have to work, but now what do I do with myself? And people that succeed and find happiness find ways to invest that time and use it wisely, or they spread out their retirement throughout their whole midlife so that it's really never ending. My dad's 72 and still working, and doesn't have any plans of retiring because he likes what he does and he finds fulfillment in it. So I think there's so many interesting conversations around here about how do you really enjoy and maximize your life.
I think, you're right. You're really spot on everything. We tend to think of our life as before retirement and after retirement, right? Like it's like BC AD, like that kind of a thing. When in reality, it isn't that at all. Most people start to have an identity when we think of that as our job. I call it the identity card. So if you are a teacher, you identify as a teacher. So what do you do when you leave that? You don't go home and have a classroom of kids. Most people don't. If you are in a job, how do you then translate that if that's your identity? So the first thing is making sure that we all identify outside of what our identity card is with regard to work, because then we can see ourselves as a painter, as someone who likes to fish or golf or have any cook or spend time at the gym, whatever it is that people like to do. It's if you're able to incorporate that identity in earlier, it allows you not to see retirement as a crisis, and instead to see it as just another, it's not an ending point, it's not a starting point, it's just another part of the continuum of of where we are. And that's where, when I see people, when I see clients, I see people who have a struggle with that, where they see one point in their time as a defining moment and they're looking for the playbook, and there isn't really one out there that we can follow for this. Retirement, people say, I can't wait to get out there and just live the good life, but the good life gets awfully boring after a couple of months of resting and relaxing and doing what you enjoy, when you don't have purpose or meaning for the next big thing you're going to do.
Yeah, I think those are big words, and I want to dive into mentorship next. But I think what you said is so critical. We hear that from like athletes a lot, right? That when they get injured or they can't become an athlete anymore, that their identity is stuck there. But you can still be a coach. You can still be around sports. You can still do a lot of cool things, even if you can't physically play anymore. But I also love what you mentioned earlier. Sometimes people get more playful and more happy as they get older and retired. And I love that. I don't know how to say it. I have bad terms for this, but to describe, but like the dirty old man, or the person that just has no filter anymore, like the grizzly veteran that's kind of like, just like, yeah, whatever, kid, like, let's go. Like, I love it when people get to that age where they're just like, have run out of shits to give, I guess, for a better, lack of a better word, because it seems like so freeing and awesome that it's like, oh, this person is who they are right now, and they're living it. And a lot of times they are playful and fun with that. And so I'm wondering how we can merge these two together, because I feel like your work in the mentorship project, and mentorproject.org is the website. I feel like mentorship is really close to play, because you're typically not getting paid for it. You're investing your energy and attention and focus into something, and you don't really want it to end. It's not a goal of like a project of like, oh, I want to build this ship in a bottle, and when it's done, I set it on the shelf. It's something that's an ongoing relationship, and something that you can continue to bring value towards, which I think is really important. But what do you see as the main benefits here, or correlations of mentorship?
You know, I go right back to what you're talking about, like the grizzly veteran. I think that you're right on that. You know, when you're an expert in something, you're not concerned with what other people think about you. You are not caring about the Joneses. You know, this is a
Right.
point, you know, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're looking around and you're trying to see where you fit in, and you're comparing yourself to the Joneses and everybody else. You're not anymore. Once you're an expert in something, you are not worried about that. So that allows for more room for enjoyment and play, because you don't have that anxiety of, ooh, did I do what I was supposed to do? You've done it. You're good.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that you picked up on that is in fact correct. And having that extra bit of space is what makes us happier as we get older. We have room. You know, when you're really busy with kids and busy with keeping up with the Joneses and making sure you're doing your job right and doing whatever you have to do, there's no room. Like, you're tapped. So in terms of that is where, if we are able to really acknowledge what we're good at, whatever it is, and how many things we're good at, that makes it so that we can then have room to focus on that in the way that we like it. So we don't have to go about it like a job. We're able to just say, hey, like you said, hey kid, come on over here. And who doesn't like to share what they're good at? Who doesn't like to have someone say, wow, they're good at that. I want to be like that, or I want to do more of that. And we all feed off of that. That's just something that makes us feel really good. And the reason for that is because when you checked all the boxes, and it's like you said, you want to make sure you did everything. At some point you've checked them, and then you want to say, what I did mattered. It wasn't just a box that was checked. And when you see someone else acknowledging that what you're good at and what you're expert in, which could be anything from being a grandma and passing on your values to being an expert in innovation. When you see someone saying, hey, that's cool, or he's cool, or she's amazing, there's something in us that is like the movie It's a Wonderful Life, where it clicks and you say, I did matter. And that happens for every single person that I've ever spoken with. As soon as that sort of bell rings, or the snap of the fingers happens, you're able to say, my life mattered. It still matters. And then you have the choice at that point to say, who do I want to give my expertise to? Who do I want to spend my time with? And that's where it becomes play. That's where it becomes enjoyable. And that's where mentorship is, like you mentioned, it becomes like play.
Yeah. I think you did a great job of highlighting the one difference, really, which is play is generally just for you or for the enjoyment of it. And mentorship can really bring a lot more meaning, and it has a purpose and value to it outside of yourself, which is interesting. And I think that's powerful too. The next question that came to mind for me was about boundaries, because I feel like humans are just naturally very bad at this, and that there are some people like who are afraid to stop moving, right? We see them at every age, but especially even in retirement, they're going from one thing to another. They're picking up mentors and big brothers, big sisters programs, and working at the Elks Club or whatever it is, and the VFW, and doing all these things. to stay busy and don't slow down and enjoy it either. And then you see other people that are like, well, I don't want to commit to anything because I don't know, I don't want to, I just got done with a job. I don't want to, have the responsibility. I'm kind of over that part of it. How would you recommend people think about the balance? Because I think there needs to be time for recreation and play and travel and all the cool things you want to do as an adult that you finally have money for. And also having some meaning and time and commitments that get you out of bed on the days you don't feel like it and that are fulfilling to you. So how do you balance those two?
Meaning. So it's as simple as that. When kids are playing, they're not just like, it's not like random, like I'm going to throw my arm in this direction. Play, often we think of it as something that's just completely frivolous and without any meaning. But when kids are playing, there's meaning in it, unless they're just like sitting and vegging in front of the TV or something, which I don't consider really playing. But if you're playing a game, or let's say you're playing baseball, or you're playing a sport, or you're playing with your friends, you have to have a purpose and a meaning with that. Otherwise, you're not going to have anyone want to play with you, right? You have to be able to connect with others. You have to be able to play by the rules. You have to have some kind of, there's structure to it, right? So when we're ready to do something, if it doesn't have meaning for you, don't do it. So if somebody says, I don't feel like doing Big Brothers, Big Sisters, that's something that's not meaningful to them. They shouldn't. Maybe there's somebody that wants to do something like teach somebody how to fish. We think of play or mentoring as having to be something so highbrow that it becomes like a job, and it shouldn't
Right.
be. So maybe somebody does get meaning out of mentoring for a big organization, but if you don't, you shouldn't feel bad about that, and you should go find what you like to do and go do that. Maybe you want to just hang out and help out with a local sports team or your grandkids' teams. That's mentoring. We are leading by sort of allowing people to see what we're doing. Just by letting others see that we're successful, we're able to, and by successful meaning I can get along with others. I can, have relationships with people that work. I can make something happen in terms of organizing games or something like that. These are not minor things, because when you're young, you need to have somebody showing you how to do that. And so that is something that I would say, do not make play or mentoring or anything like that so highbrow that it seems that it's unachievable, because then who's going to want to do it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds kind of obvious, right? But there are no rules for this. Sometimes people think that you're like, oh, well, you have to commit to, 3 days a week or whatever. Then you're drawing things onto it that don't need to be there. If it's not fun and fulfilling, like, don't do it. Or I would love to hear your thoughts on this, but I'm thinking you can mentor a lot of people once, or you can mentor one person a lot of times. There's lots of different flavors. Like you said, it could just be coaching and have somebody younger with kids on the team do all the responsibility stuff and the scheduling and all of the hard parts, and you just show up and help out at practice. Or it could be the other way. If you love all the organizing and scheduling and you don't like standing out in the heat at 90 degrees or whatever, then have somebody else do that part, right? That there really is no rules. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
The definition mentor has been something that people take to mean that there's a structure to it, and that there's the person who's the boss, and then there's the person who's the newbie, or the person who's junior to them. And mentoring isn't quite like that. That's been poorly defined, in terms of it being one thing. But mentorship is really just passing your expertise, your values, or some kind of thing that you have to someone else. It can be somebody lateral, even. It doesn't have to be someone junior to you. So if you wanted to mentor as an adult who's retiring, you might be mentoring your neighbor in how to do what you do. So that could be home improvement. That could
Yeah.
be whatever it is, you're still mentoring them. And people don't realize that pretty much everyone mentors, but they don't acknowledge it. And you don't get the benefit of it until you acknowledge it.
Yeah, I love that, because I think there are so many lessons that we don't necessarily like write a speech about in a PowerPoint and show somebody. You can demonstrate it by being awesome. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be formal either. It doesn't have to be this hour appointment on a Zoom call that I'm going to coach and mentor you. Now, it can be spending time with people, or, taking kids to the zoo or anything like that, are powerful things that I think people overlook because they don't see an immediate impact, or don't feel like it was mentoring the way it should be. It's more just doing things you enjoy with other people that enjoy it, right?
Yeah. Some people make videos of things that they're good at. So if you go on YouTube, a lot of that is what I call modern mentoring,
Yeah.
because we didn't have that in the past. You had to be physically near somebody. And now you can go on and learn a million different things. I mean, I learn all kinds of home improvement things. And I'm essentially being mentored by people on YouTube all the time who I've never met in person. And so if you're someone who has an expertise and you're videotaping yourself doing something, or imparting knowledge in some way, that is mentoring. So we now live in a digital age, and we can capitalize on that and how we give back.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love doing the podcast that I do, is I get mentored by all of the guests like yourself. So thank you for the free consulting. And and second, I get to share my stories and expertise along the way, and I get to feel like I contribute as well. I wanted to get to know.
I was going to say, your platform itself and is a form of mentorship, because you are allowing for people to come in and learn from different people. So you are, in fact, mentoring in the modern way. Before there were podcasts, this didn't exist.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I'm really encouraged about too when it comes to play, is that can be so many different things, and they are mentor opportunities that, if you want to learn how to juggle or do magic or canoe or play a guitar, like, you're going to have to learn and connect with somebody in order to do that. And I think that's the cool part of it, is when you explore play, you create a lot more connections than you would like you said, watching Netflix or playing video games. Yeah, it kind of forces connection and learning and creativity that I think is the best part about being alive, really.
One of the things that you're absolutely right. And one thing that I came across is that I noticed that a lot of people want to give back, and they don't know how or where. And that's one of the biggest troubling things for people, is that they don't have an outlet for it. And that can be anybody. The 2020 inventor of the year, Bob Cousins, didn't have an outlet. He wanted to find mentors. If you're somebody who's, that is not around kids all the time or things like that, that can be an issue. And
Yeah.
it's a matter of being able to find where you can connect. That's where we started with the Mentor Project, but anybody can overcome that wherever you are. Even without the Mentor Project, you can take your information and knowledge and get it out on videos. You can hook up through communities and other organizations. And so what you consider to be interesting might in fact be life-changing for somebody else. And it all is play. It's no different than
Yeah.
when you're 6, and you're.
Well, and I think the best part about what you said is you didn't mention money at all. So many people think giving back means donating money, and I found that to be not as powerful for me as donating my time and attention and knowledge, expertise, to these types of things. So once again, we're talking with Deborah Heiser. You can find her at deborahheiser.com or mentorproject.org. I wanted to get to know you a little bit better here, and then we'll end with a game. But what do you do for fun? What is your type of play? And do you have anything left on your fun bucket list?
Oh, I have so much on my fun bucket list left. I founded the Mentor Project as for fun. I don't get paid to do this. I do it. and I really thoroughly enjoy it. It's something that I firmly believe in. And so every day is like going to play. And I'm able to feel like I'm doing something that matters and is meaningful. So that's my main play. But I have a ton of other hobbies that I identify with. And of course, my family as well. I do consider myself, part of my play bucket is hanging out with my teenage boys and doing what they love to do, which is baseball. But,
Yeah.
that's, and watching them grow. In terms of my future bucket list, I totally can't wait to start traveling again.
Yes.
I want to be able to travel around the country a lot more. And I want to be able to travel around the world. I'd love to be able to do that. So I'm crossing my fingers that we're able to all do all of those things that we want to do.
You bet. Do you want to play a game?
I do.
All right, here we go. We have a wheel of games. There's 10 that it could possibly land on. And you got, this is survey says, you've probably seen this on TV. We surveyed 100 people. The top answers are on the card here. Do you watch many movies? I didn't ask you about movies.
I don't. So
all right, this might be tough, but we'll ask you.
Disappointed.
We'll see. All right. Name a movie that someone who loves traveling should see. You said you love to travel. I picked a good one for you.
A movie that someone who loves traveling should see. Let me think of the movies that I've seen recently. Okay, I just saw.
I think all of these are pretty old, but anyway, yeah, you can name whatever you want.
Okay, something with travel, and it has to be a movie. I just watched one with James Bond. That could be one, right?
Lots of exotic locations in that one for sure. All right, that works. Eat, Pray, Love was the number one answer.
Oh, that is a good one. Yeah.
Name a movie that features a funeral.
Oh, that features a funeral. I'm trying to think of the movies I've seen that features a funeral.
These are kind of tough. I went tough ones.
These are, because I'm not a big movie person. So I honestly am stumped with that. I don't know.
All right. I'll switch it out. We'll get out of the movie category. And number 3, we will go. The number one answer was 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Okay.
The Godfather and My Girl also have big funeral scenes in there. But all right. Name a state that people like to travel to in the summer.
Well, my favorite is Iowa, to the Iowa State Fair. That's because I'm from Iowa. But
you're from Iowa? I didn't know that. Where in Iowa?
That is my favorite place to go in the summer, and everyone else should go there too in the summer. It is the best place to go in the summer, in August.
That is awesome. Where in Iowa are you from?
Des Moines.
Oh, okay. Awesome. My dad grew up in Creston, and my sister went to Simpson College in Indianola as well.
Very cool.
So,
we were just there, as a matter of fact, a couple weeks ago in Iowa.
Well, that is awesome. And you're now in New York, though. We should let people know if they want to check you out and hire you, do public speaking and all kinds of coaching, good stuff at deborahheiser.com and the Mentor Project. But for playing the game, I'll give you a free 30-second commercial. What should people check out? Do you have any asks or gives for the audience?
Oh, first of all, I'd love if anyone is looking for a mentor or would like to mentor, please check out mentorproject.org. We offer mentoring to kids for free around the world, and it's top experts in their fields. If you're interested in that, whether you're K through university, check us out, because we can match you up with a mentor. If you're a school and you're looking for mentoring for your classes, we can do that. Some of the other things that you can check out, or check out all the work that many of our mentors have done. There's some pretty cool people. We have the Inventor of the Year. We have
so cool.
The guy who invented the firewall is one of our mentors and one of our founding members. We have astrophysicist and astronaut, you name it. We've got some really cool people. So I'd just like to give that plug for everybody to check it out, because it's free.
You bet. Mentorproject.org. And Deborah, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks
For
for
more
having me.
information on Playful Humans, go to playfulhumans.com. There's a personality quiz you can take there where you can discover which type of play you like best and some suggestions for how to do more of that. And you can join the community of other adults rediscovering the power of play there in the club at playfulhumans.com. Until next time, subscribe to the podcast, hit the likes and shares, help us out there, and go play. Sound good?
Don't wait for tomorrow.